Tuesday, Broncos country. We're back with another live episode of Let's Talk Broncos.
LTV.
I'm Bree Maestas here with Zach Seegers and Joey Richards. Guys, how are you?
I'm doing really good. Just chilling, enjoying talking football. Last Broncos yesterday, Broncos therapy really helped. I got everything out. I am ready for the next week. So make sure you guys are always tuning in for our Monday show. Win or lose, I think Monday show is my favorite one. I like the reactionary stuff. I like yelling at the camera and stuff.
Yeah, it was therapeutic. Zach, how are you?
I'm doing great. How can you not be doing great when you're on the Best Broncos podcast with two of your best friends? Exactly. I mean, what a life we live.
Exactly.
I wasn't expecting the flowers so early, but yes, I am happy to be here with both of you. If you can't tell, we're live and you're able to submit questions and comments here to the show by clicking in the thread below. You can join over on Facebook or YouTube. Join the chat, get your questions in, because today is a very special mailbag edition of Let's Talk Broncos. We got a ton of questions from viewers, especially over on Twitter. But if you hadn't had a chance to make your requests, now is the time to do so. And I will remind people that if you want to join our Discord, you're able to submit questions over there as well, so we can tally them up during the week, and then we can run them back here on the show. Still haven't decided on a day that we're planning on doing these consistently, but it will be weekly. So make sure, as questions pop into your mind, that you're hopping over there and giving them to us, because we enjoy this episode greatly. So I think before we get to it, though, we have a big bag of tricks for you, and that is because, it's the holiday spirit. So Santa Claus has his bag, LTB has theirs, and I think it's really important that we give special shouts out to Frankie's Films, because he's got a breakdown for us covering what happened in Sunday's game. There's been a lot of talk about Patrick Surtain. Let's get into it.
What is going on, Broncos country? Frankie's Film here, coming at you with another film breakdown. This week we're taking a look at the deciding play from the Raiders game, but more specifically, some of the play calls McDaniels used from throughout the game that uncovered some tendencies from Patrick Surtain that were later used against the young corner on the game-winning play. Let's take a look. The first play we'll be taking a look at takes place during the Raiders' third drive in the second quarter, where, facing a 1st and 19, McDaniels dials up a play-action post-over combination with Adams as the post runner. From this, we already see an early tendency from Surtain on his deep third coverages. He cheats down a little on the overs and disrupts the passing lane on a throw to Mac Hollins. The very next play sees the Raiders come out on 2nd and 19 in a bunch formation, with Devontae as the point man in the bunch. Once again, the Raiders use play action to draw up Denver's shallow zone defenders. Hollins and Adams run joint crossing routes of different depths, with Adams being the deeper of the two. And while Surtain is on the left side being pulled deep by a 9 route, Adams is able to settle down easily behind the defenders for a gain of 23 and a Raider first down. Later on, facing a 2nd and 25, McDaniels and the Raiders once again tested their bunch play-action crossers, only this time Surtain played it much more aggressively. Finally getting the chance to play on the same side as Adams, Surtain immediately disregarded his deep third responsibility in favor of manning up the star receiver. We see Adams fake the outside break before turning the route inside, with Surtain right on his heels and Carr is forced to throw the ball away. A win for the Denver defense, but Adams was sure to make note of the Surtain tendency for later on. And then finally the game ender. Same bunch look, same alignment for Adams. He initially angles his route much more heavily towards center field to draw over Surtain, and then when the second-year corner's feet are out of position, he explodes to the right pylon, hauls in a perfect pass from Carr, and calls ball game.
Wow.
It's a little tough to watch, but I think it's important that we run through what we just saw there. Joey, you said wow. Break that down for me. What's going through your head?
Yeah, okay. Here's Frankie did a phenomenal job of showing how that last play came about, right? That's why I said wow, is I think a lot of people at the end of that game are just like, how did he get beat that bad? How did he get beat that bad? When a team is running a concept, and they're keying in a little bit on what you're doing, then they're able to counter that. It's great Raiders offense. That's more of what I took from that. And that's kind of why my opinion, and we can get more into this conversation because I really think this clip brings this conversation out, is hey, it's hard to be all that upset at Surtain. While he did get beat on that play and Adams did get the better of him, it's a lot of it is just hey, this is the best wide receiver in the NFL. You have a really good play caller on the other side. Whether you think he's a good coach or head coach or not is a different conversation, right? He's probably, I think 99% of people would say he's not a very good head coach, but he's proven to be a really good play caller throughout his tenure. And then going against Adams, like, you're going to lose some. You're just going to lose some as a corner. I don't care how good you are. That's how good Davante Adams is. He's been in the conversation as the best wide receiver in the NFL for years now. Like, this isn't just like, oh, this is his first year doing this. No. Adams has been in this conversation for years. He's a phenomenal player, and I doesn't really change my thoughts on Surtain at all. It's just like Surtain won the first battle, Adams won the second. I don't know how else to say it.
Yeah, it was so amazing. I loved how he just laid out, like, okay, you can see Surtain cheating and it's winning him plays early on, and then it lost him one late. It's awesome. And you said it perfectly about Davante Adams. He's one of the best route runners, if not the best route runner in the sport, and one of the most intelligent receivers, if not the most intelligent receiver in the sport. That is a pretty tough combo to cover. Sometimes you're going to lose those matchups. Davante Adams saved that tendency for the moment they really needed one, and they got it. It's hard for me to be that upset over it, honestly. Like, it was a bad play, but and honestly, a bad game by Patrick Surtain. But oh my God, great cornerbacks have bad games sometimes. I'm not gonna be freaking out because a great player had a bad game against a future Hall of Famer. Shit happens.
Yeah, exactly.
That's why I like this comment from Coop. Literally, everybody gets beat. Davante can do that to a lot of people. Totally agree with Joey. I absolutely agree with that. And not only because I think that Patrick Surtain is one of the best corners in this league, if not going to be for a very long time. It happens. And you can't expect him to hold people to 12 yards or 0 receptions every single game. It's not sustainable. We knew it was going to happen. And against the best wide receiver in this league, I think that it shouldn't be shocking. That's the game that did it. I am looking forward, though, to this rivalry for a long time to come. It's been a little bit of a drop off from the Broncos, Raiders. You know, what's to look forward to? Is it really a rivalry anymore? Well, the comments from Davante Adams following the game directly to Patrick Surtain, I think, is going to carry this a very long time. I can't wait to see what they bring us next season. So let's jump into, or did you want to?
Yeah, I want to say, hey, I saw a lot of people upset with Davante Adams after that. That type of stuff makes football really exciting. I love that. I love feeling that energy. Like, hey, and I saw Robbie, friend of the show for sure, Robbie Davis, comment on this, and I retweeted it. He was just like, this is what makes football so exciting, and it's true. Like, that rivalry, as a fan of the Raiders, I'm sure you loved those Davante Adams comments after the game. As a fan of the Broncos, I'm sure you hated it a little bit. But at the end of the day, that's the type of stuff that gets that emotion out of you. And I don't know, you just love that. And it brings a little bit of that rivalry back for whatever that's worth. Just a little bit. Like, you hate the Raiders just a little bit more now. And I kind of like that. We need that.
You know, it really frustrated me too, because Mile High Profit was front and center on Davante Adams' IG post. So I feel like that just added another level of like, oh my goodness, can it get worse? Zach, I didn't mean to cut you off. Go ahead.
No, you're fine. Keep the same energy. Like, if you would be hyped if Patrick Surtain made an incredible pit, like hung with Davante Adams in coverage the whole time. Derek Carr forces a throw and Surtain snags it and gets a walk-off pick six. And is like, oh, Davante's washed. He's not that guy anymore. I'm the new king. Like if you would have just been like, this is unprofessional from PS2, then I think you can treat Davante the same way. But if you treat any of those two differently, like, I don't take your opinion that seriously on the matter. It's a passionate sport. Like, dudes are passionate, especially in that moment. So what? Like, the same thing about like when Cam was dabbing on the Titans, and that Nashville lady wrote like a tearful memo to the newspaper about, has it scarred my child to see Cam Newton dance on us like that? Like, I don't know. If you don't want him to celebrate on you, don't let him score. Don't let him get a sack. Don't let him make the big play. Play better. It's really that simple.
Totally.
Love it. Love the energy. Let's hop into our very first question that we got off of Twitter today. Shouts out to Jolene. Thank you so much for always participating and giving us really great questions. Let's go with, if you had a time machine to go back 9 months, what would you say to Peyton to convince him to hire someone different or to acquire a different QB? Can you even convince him?
I'll let Zach go first on this one. Zach, what is your opinion?
I've got two radically different solutions here. I'm not sure which one's better. I'm not sure which one's the way to go. I think both are actually pretty effective. So number one, I would go to George Payton and I would just say, look, the problems with Russ's decline we've seen in 2020 and 2021 with the NFL defenses league-wide leaning into these two high shells, that's not an anomaly. That's very real. That's the real Russ. It's not a flash in the pan. And as defenses continue to lean harder and harder into these schemes, as the Fangio defense proliferates around the NFL, it's only going to get worse. He also shows a severe mental decline, unlike you've ever seen, and it's absolutely terrible. The evidence is already there. All the concerns that already exist, they don't go away. It's not because of the finger. It's not a one-year thing. It only gets dialed up as defenses proliferate. That would be my first go-to.
Mine would be pretty simple. I would just tell him, going to the Hackett hire, I would just be like, bro, you're not getting Rodgers. Bro, you're not getting him. I don't know if that I don't know how much influence that had in the situation.
That'd be pretty effective.
Yeah. You know, I would just be like, yo, Hackett, you are definitely not getting Aaron Rodgers. I don't think this is the greatest hire. How much of Hackett's success had to do with Aaron Rodgers? Like, I don't know. That would be my argument. I would just like that would be it straight up. And then I wonder how much of a influence do you guys think Hackett had on Russ wanting to be here? If any.
Some, I believe, the reports that Russ okayed it, or Russ was okay with the move, and they knew about that. I think it like impacted in that extent. I think it's very, very clear that Rodgers was choice 1A, and that hiring Nathaniel Hackett had a lot to do with landing Aaron Rodgers. And Aaron Rodgers' quote from, I think, January, might have been December, January of last year, where he says, I don't know where Hackett will be next year, but wherever he is, I want to be with him. I think also definitely played a role.
Okay.
Well, I'm starting to think if maybe Russell Wilson wanted so badly to be in Colorado and out of Seattle that perhaps it didn't really matter who was at the helm, who was in the coaching staff, because I don't know if there would have been a complete game changer. Go ahead, Joey.
You know, I will say the one that I'm pretty confident he didn't want to play for is Fangio. I don't think he wanted to play for Fangio specifically because when the first reports or rumors of Russell Wilson wanting out happened, the Broncos weren't included. And that was when they had Fangio. Now, the moment he was gone, all of a sudden, it's like, oh, yeah, Wilson would love to play in Colorado. So I don't even know. Like, I know this would be kind of tampering a little bit or whatever, but, like, I don't even know if do you think he had, like, an influence on who the head coach would be? Like, I would assume so, but what do you guys think?
I love how you say tampering like it's not a thing. Like, nah, it couldn't have been. Go ahead, Zach, sorry.
I am maybe not 100% sure, but about 98, 99% sure that Russ was giving an okay on that stuff and was, I'm pretty confident in that fact.
Okay.
I love it. You know what else you were confident in is you said you had 2 responses to this question. So I want to hear the other one.
Yeah, I think Joey was smart going for like the simple approach. I went for the super complex approach too, but I think I kind of think it's airtight. All right. So I go into George Payton's office. Hello, Mr. Payton. I've been sent by the United Nations as part of an exploratory time jumping squadron called the Excelsior program. In the year 2034, aliens, in an attempt to reach out to Russell Wilson, descend on Earth as peaceful visitors. However, they unknowingly carry a deadly pathogen that ravages the globe and, in my timeline, is on the verge of pressing humanity to extinction. Our time scientists have traced this trait as the branch-off moment that sends humanity down this dark timeline. I understand my claims sound outlandish, but here's how you know they're quite real. Tomorrow, on February 23rd, 2022, the Avalanche will beat the Red Wings in a 5-2 game. Gabriel Landeskog will score the final goal, an empty netter with exactly 39 seconds left in regulation. It will be his second goal of the game. Heed my warning, or the blood is on your hands, Mr. Payton.
Okay. No, you know what? You said effective. I think that if you were to show up to the office and said that, like you had that written out exactly like that, and it would be effective, So I think that would work.
Man, when he's watching that Avalanche game the next night, because he has an eye on it, he's at least watching the box score, and I think it'd give you pause. I think it'd give you pause.
Bree, what are your opinions on?
I don't know how you follow that. Well, I like Joey. How you? I'm not gonna be able to keep a straight face. Joey, you said how much pull would you have? It would really depend on where you're ranking there. Like, is George Payton going to you for every decision? Does he go to anybody else for decisions? Who has that type of influence? But I think, honestly, the other part of this would be to acquire a different QB. At this point, I'd probably take anybody else. And that is a frustrating truth. I was not in the ballpark that an expensive option was going to fix anything with the free agent quarterbacks that were available. At a certain point in time, there was a Tom Brady available, and I thought that would have been just amazing because I would have reached nirvana as a Broncos fan. And all in all, I think I would have pushed for all of those options outside of Russell Wilson, except Aaron Rodgers. So I think those two were my no touches, and they were the only options for the Broncos, and that's what we ended up with. So
Watson didn't make the no touch list, Bree.
Oh yeah, that's terrible pun to include on that, but 100%.
I'm not trying to make a pun. It wasn't a pun. It wasn't a pun. I know it wasn't. Why you're endorsing Watson and not the other.
I was trying to get you back for being a jerk, because I almost called you another word. Because I just act like he doesn't exist at this point. I don't think he should come up in any football conversation. I don't think he should be the quarterback of any team. No, let's do it. Let's talk about all the hard-hitting things right now. But with that, and on that note, Jolene, thank you. And she also submitted a second question, so I'm going to jump directly into that. With Gordon getting cut, how short is the leash for Montrell Washington, 4 fumbles, and Russell Wilson, 4 fumbles? Just curious if there's any correlation. I want to get into this so badly. Who wants to go first?
I'll take it.
Let's go.
I will take it. We kind of had this conversation yesterday with Melvin Gordon, and I'll just repeat it again. To me, the Melvin Gordon cut, I'm not saying the cut was wrong, because I agree with it. Like, he should not be getting carries anymore, in my opinion. But the way the Broncos treated it made it sound like they didn't care about fumbles this entire season. They didn't care. He was literally getting carries 2 days ago. It's hard for me to believe that last fumble was the line for me. I don't think that there really is a leash. I think that this move was to appease the fans, the Melvin Gordon one. And I don't think cutting Montrell Washington has the same factor. There's not that hate like Melvin Gordon had in Broncos country. So I don't really think there's any correlation.
When you're seeing the absolute meanest things coming out of people's mouths about Melvin Gordon, how could you not for a second think that it was a little bit of a scapegoat to go ahead and cut him at this time in the season? You can't tell me that the hammer was that last final fumble. There have been plenty worse ones to have been had. At this point in the season, I don't understand why. I had 2 text messages that were like, oh, scapegoat? Like, it seems really weird to make that sort of decision right now when you don't have a running back room to speak of, unless they have been just biding their time with that decision already being made. It's just a little funky. It's taking the heat off of the Denver Broncos organization. Zach.
I just, not to totally rehash our conversation from yesterday, but I just have a hard time calling it a scapegoat because he was released with cause. There was plenty of reason to release him. I think we all agree on that. And it's, I think, the right coaching decision. I think they definitely did make the wrong decision initially, to Joey's point. Where was this accountability earlier? If you're all about accountability, but I don't think like because you made the wrong decision earlier in the year doesn't mean you can make the right decision later in the year. I don't know. It's yeah.
But I have to ask you real quick. Do you think the fans had any influence on this or no?
I think they might have had some, but I guess to me, I read it more as I'm trying to remember the order of games. Week 6, he gets benched. He has a bad game against the Colts. Week 6, he gets benched. Or I think he has the bad game week 4. They sign. Yeah, he has the bad game against the Raiders, loses in the game. They sign Latavius Murray, but Latavius Murray's getting up to speed. He's coming back from London. It's a Thursday game. He doesn't play in week 5. He plays in week 6, and they bench Melvin Gordon. So they did hold him accountable. They benched him. And then Melvin Gordon threw a tantrum, and they didn't hold him accountable for that and went, oh, I'm sorry. Let's throw you back out there. Because Coach Hackett is player-friendly, I think, to a fault. However, I don't think it's crazy to imagine a scenario where he's like, hey, man, like I'm coaching for my job here. I can't afford these fumbles. You've got to meet me halfway. Like, I want to have you out there. You're helping the team. You're maybe our most talented ball carrier, but we can't do it if you're fumbling like this. And they came to an understanding, and he put him back out there. And then he had another game-losing fumble, and then that was the straw that broke the camel's back. I don't think that, like, both are very possible to me. So I just struggle to be like, it was a scapegoat, because it also could have been a normal cut for performance reasons. As for the Montrell and Russell Wilson side, because I don't want to go like so far down the rabbit hole of just our conversation yesterday. Montrell is on the hot seat. There was that, I think, embarrassing, like that would have been the most embarrassing moment of my career had I asked that question. Embarrassing Patrick Surtain question about, is Patrick Surtain going to start returning punts for the team? Just unserious analysis, frankly. But in his answer, Dwayne Stukes highlighted that they are looking at other people potentially for that role. I think Kendall Hinton was the name he mentioned. Montrell's totally on the hot seat, and that's because the amount of fumbles he's had in recent weeks isn't normal for a returner. Russell Wilson has fumbled a lot, but 4 is like not even in the top 7, 8, 9, 10 quarterbacks in terms of fumbles this year. For Russell Wilson's fumbles to look similar to Melvin Gordon's fumbles relative to the position, he would have had to fumble the ball 22 times this year. At that point, it would be he would be as much of an outlier at the quarterback position as Melvin Gordon has been at the running back position this year, and he's only at 4.
Can I just throw out, and then we end this? I just want to throw out, and we'll talk about this on a later episode. I have a conspiracy that George Paton listens to the fans and what the fans' reaction is a lot more than we think.
Hackett, 100%. Hackett, 100%.
Through a lot of different scenarios, I have a thought about that. Well, we'll get into that on another episode.
Hackett hired and reported some that he moved off of Quinn for Hackett.
That's one, yeah.
We will cover that in depth. Let's say Friday. Does Friday sound good for you guys?
Friday's good.
Wonderful. I do want to make a comment to the, I guess, Montrell Washington being on the hot seat and him being included in this. There is a little bit of a struggle on special teams with being able to block for him. And I think that when he does get some space, he's able to do some great things. But I do think it is frustrating that he's not able to do that on a consistent basis. It's not the worst punt returner that we've ever seen, but the fumbles are an issue. So I can see where that lines up. But he's the next one I'm taking under protective wing and custody. So we can go ahead and fight about that amongst ourselves. But it leads us into a tremendous question that was asked earlier today by Mahai Texan, which I think is appropriate for the conversation that we just had. What would your ideal running back room look like next year? Because right now you have Latavius Murray, you have a high ankle sprain in Edmonds, you have Marlon Mack, you have Ezigbo. I'm leaving somebody out of that discussion, not by fault. It's just that
you said Marlon Mack.
I said Marlon Mack. Yeah, there's one other one.
Chase Edmonds.
No,
like he's done for the year, but those are the 3 they've got healthy right now. You didn't miss anyone.
I'm perfect then. Go ahead. Let's talk about it. What does it look like next year?
Okay. If we're talking ideal, we have a vet that you signed for a really low contract.
What range? Do you have an idea? I'll pull up free agent running backs really quick. But like In the Josh Jacobs, who's the other one that's coming up that's notable?
Tony Pollard for free.
Yeah, Josh Jacobs, Tony Pollard market, or are you saying below
No,
there?
I'm talking
what
like
they
running
spend?
back 2, running back 3 area, right? I'm
Like the
talking about
Boone
that.
deal from a
Maybe
year
vet
ago.
vet to hold the room down type situation, right?
Like the Boone deal.
Like yes, exactly. Something similar to that. And then you hit on somebody maybe on day 2. You draft a running back day 2 who is your guy while Javonte is rehabbing. Because here's my thing. I see a lot of people saying you can't count on Javonte Williams after that leg injury, right? And I totally agree with that. I don't think you can. I don't think it's something you can count on and say he's going to be 100% the same player he was before. But taking a first round running back to me feels like you are completely counting that out. Like it's like 100% possibility that Javonte Williams will not come back and be a productive running back. That's what that feels like to me. And I don't think I'm 100% that way. Like, oh yeah, Javonte Williams is never going to be the same guy. Or even Javonte Williams won't be an effective back, because that's really at the end of the day that I'm looking for. If he's not 100% of himself, that'll be a travesty, right? That'll be an absolute travesty. But if he's an effective back, that's still like something I could use on my team, right? I wouldn't take a running back first round for a lot of reasons. I've gone over this so many times. I think that the offensive line has more impact on the running game than the running back does. I think that the career is very short of a running back, so I wouldn't draft if one with a first round pick in like 99% of situations. Just because like that first round pick is an investment, right? Like you saw it, Champ Bailey trade for Clint Portis. Clint Portis had like 1,500 yards both seasons. He had crazy amount of touchdowns. Led the league in yards per carry one of the years when he was a Bronco. Broncos traded for Champ Bailey. Like Champ Bailey outdid his career miles, and I'm just talking years onto it.
Portis is still one of the top running backs of the 2010s, though. Like, I don't think it's like he just totally fell off and became a valueless player. He was the engine of Washington's offense for a half decade.
Totally. I'm just talking about position, right? Like, which one would you rather have? That corner always does it. Like, if you could go back and would you rather have Jalen Ramsey or Zeke? They took Zeke instead of Jalen Ramsey. Like, there's so many conversations about this where the expectancy of a running back in their prime is just shorter than other positions. And that's why these other positions are more valuable. And I think of that first round pick as an investment, not just like I want this guy for the next 5 years.
I'm fine with it, honestly. It's not my ideal thing. I wouldn't do it for Jahmyr Gibbs. I don't think he's that guy.
Al was right, by the way.
I will. Yeah.
Bijan Robinson could be the best running back in the NFL in a season or two. Like, he is so special. He could be the best player in this draft class. There are totally going to be people out there who have him as player number 1 on their big board. And because he's a running back, there's a chance he falls past 15 into the 20s, wherever the Broncos are picking. I don't think it's super likely. I think it's like probably a 20-30% chance he's on the board when the Broncos are picking. But if he is, and I'm not saying it would be my like slam dunk pick, but I wouldn't take issue with it. And I agree with all the like running back value stuff. I fully agree. I also think like the truly special running backs do matter. Like Derrick Henry matters. And look at that shoddy Titans offensive line. Like Nick Chubb matters. There are absolutely running backs that matter, that elevate talent around them. And I think Bijan Robinson looks to be one of those guys. And the Broncos just need difference makers on offense. And if it's between like Bijan Robinson, who's a top 3 player on the big board, and the offensive tackle I've got rated, number 25 on the big board, I'm fine taking Robinson. Like they're so desperate for talent. And Robinson, like there's no sure thing in the NFL draft. I feel very confident Robinson's going to be a really impactful pro player, while the tackles that get picked in the anywhere between pick 15 and pick 64 have a pretty atrocious track record of panning out. The Broncos can't really afford another Garrett Bowles, honestly, where it's just bad for 3 years and then like finally kind of turns it around. They need help right now. They've mortgaged their future for this version of the team. I think running backs can also be long-term deals. Zeke Elliott's still impacting and helping the Cowboys out. No, it's not as good as Jalen Ramsey, but we're not talking about picking him 4th overall. And they're only stuck to him because they gave him a ridiculous contract. You have to invest in the running back position some way, and I think you can do it with a lot of smaller medium assets. But if you find a difference maker, you can have him for 7 years of reasonable roster control. He's cheap for the first 5 with the rookie deal and the franchise tag, and the 5th-year option, and then you franchise tag him if you want. And then you can franchise tag him again. And then it becomes problematic and you can let him go. But at that point, it's 1-year deals. You're not that tied to it. It's not an ideal reality, but they need talent so fucking bad. I can't pass up maybe the best player in the draft.
This feels like such a markedly different conversation than when we were having, I don't know, last off season around this time of like how you wouldn't want to take a running back that high. But is that just a method of like, unfortunately, that's where the Broncos are with their failing health at the running back position? I also wanted to highlight Cal's run through here. Javonte going 90% physical capacity is a little spooky, to be honest. His iffy mental stuff might become more apparent, vision and what have you. I think that's a really important point.
That's 1,000% true. I want to highlight that because I was making the argument kind of against this a little bit, but Cal is 1,000% right. Like Javonte Williams, his processing isn't there. He wins almost exclusively on his ability to break tackles. And how much is that to do with his ability to like just his physical ability? It is like 1,000% that. So if it does, 90% of it does hurt a little bit. That was always my worry. Like, how is Javonte Williams going to age in the NFL? Because when he does slow down, like most running backs do earlier than other positions, is he still going to be really effective? I don't know. So that it's very true. It's very true. My thing is just, I really have a hard time with that running back in the first round thing. I just feel so many other ways going with it with so much more like the cap on potential is just so much higher at other positions that it's hard for me to take Bijan knowing that like if he does this past how many other years, like it's an outlier. You know what I mean? Like that's just how it is at the running back position. If he's in his prime past 8 years, like he's a complete outlier.
But that's true for most picks in the 20s. Right? Like most picks in the 20s don't have like prolific 8-year-long careers. No, most picks in the 20s, first round picks are 50-50 propositions. So what? Anyways, if you're limiting to a hit to being an 8-year-long productive career, you're looking at, I don't have the numbers in front of me, but if we're saying 50% of the time they hit, the percentage of time they're hitting and going on to have a prolific NFL career, and now you're shorting and also narrowing your scope rather to picks only after pick number 20. Okay, give me the running back that's going to be great for 5-6 years.
But you understand my point. Like we both agree running backs career expectancy is a lot shorter than all the other positions.
It wouldn't be my number. Again, it's not my first choice. I'm just saying I would not take a ton of issue with it because I think the Broncos are so desperate for offensive talent. And I don't know if there's an offensive player in this draft. I would say probably there isn't an offensive player more talented in this draft than Bijan Robinson. And you factor in that Russell looks more reliant on his surroundings than ever, and he's always been boosted by a strong running game. It's a thing. Wouldn't be my ideal thing. I agree with all the don't take a running back in the first points. And my ideal, to get back to the original question, my ideal running back room would be a steady veteran investment that you believe in, kind of a la the Melvin Gordon contract back when that happened, just because I think Wilson's reliable or very reliant on that run game, and it's a big question mark right now with the Javonte injury. So Jacob, there's an awesome list of free agent running backs too. Josh Jacobs, Rashad Penny. I think Jamal Williams is a pretty good player. Kareem Hunt's going to get a good contract. Deontay Foreman's looking really good for Carolina right now. You're going to see that this week. There's a lot more here. Miles Sanders is an interesting name. I don't think he's great, but he can just offer you something in that room. Dearness Johnson. I actually really like. I think he's looked really good whenever he's gotten a chance for Cleveland in recent years.
Yeah, specifically against the Broncos.
Specifically against the
My eye
Broncos.
just twitched.
Dontrell Hilliard's been a good insurance back for the Titans behind Derrick Henry. And I kind of like Joey. Like, I don't think you need a star, but just something to give you like a running game. Jeff Wilson coming up for free agency. Devin Singletary, David Montgomery, Damian Harris, like James Robinson, Tony Pollard. Just find a salvageable option and then like a 3rd round pick. Like I think you need 2 more bodies in that room, and then you hope Javonte returns well. But I'd be super concerned about Javonte.
Anything else on running backs at this present moment in time? Wonderful. We have a ask for a where's the super chat. You know how you can support us, James Richard? You can go ahead and subscribe, or you can share the post, or you can follow us over on Twitter. You can follow us on Mile High Sports YouTube or their Facebook stream. But most importantly, set the notification so you know every time that we go live. This is Let's Talk Broncos, and we're here every weeknight, Monday through Saturday, 6 p.m. Mountain Time. And we appreciate you joining the show. As you can see, I highlighted your question or your comment, and now you're a part of the show.
Ooh, I actually have a response for him. I just did some quick research. Bree's totally right. If you want to super chat us or support the show or whatever, subscribe to the YouTube. You cannot turn on super chats until you either have 1,000 subscribers. Oh, sorry, you need both. You need 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 hours of uploaded content. We're nearing there on hours. We've got a show going out tons, but subscribers will help us get there. So please help there.
I love it. I absolutely do. I'm going to jump to the next question that happens to come from Luke Maestis. There is a relation there. Who would be in the mix for the head coach position, assuming Hackett is done at the end of the year? Luke, thanks for your question. I appreciate you, buddy. Thanks for watching. What do we got for him? Dan Quinn's got to be top of the mind at this point. We're going to flip a 180. We're going to go back to defensive minds. We're going to go to somebody who was at the top of the list. How do you guys feel about that? And who else do you think is on that short list?
Dan Quinn definitely sticks out. Frank Wright is another name that I think makes some sense. Zach, do you have any others that are outside of that? I think Dan Quinn obviously sticks out. Sorry, Zach, I asked that question and keep going. Dan Quinn obviously makes a lot of sense because of how much the Broncos were interested last year. Like, it really felt it felt that entire time like Dan Quinn was the hire in my brain. That's what it felt like, just with the different reports we were getting. Frank Wright is another name, just with like the fit with Russ, and if you're trying to bring the most out of Russ, Frank Wright makes a ton of sense. But yeah, Zach, what do you have?
Yeah, sorry, I left my train of thought. I think there's a clear top 3. Dan Quinn, I think, is definitely the leader in the clubhouse. I thought Rouse actually put it really well today. Like, I feel like Peyton's going to go for the safe, comfortable move, and that's Dan Quinn. And yeah, Dan Quinn's going to be a coveted head coach this year. That'll be a move that media and everyone pats Peyton on the back for, veteran, adult, all those things. And it's Peyton's guy. It was the guy Peyton wanted to go with last year. And now after the Russell Wilson thing, this offseason, Peyton's going to be building this team for his job. Like, his job is on the line if the 2023 Broncos are not good. So I think he's going to go with someone he really, really trusts, revert to kind of his safe, kind of conservative tendencies. And I think that's going to be Dan Quinn. The other 2 to watch are definitely Frank Reich, the quarterback stuff, the offensive experience, though Indy suddenly looking better is a bit of a black mark. And Jonathan Gannon. I'm not the biggest Jonathan Gannon guy, but they loved Jonathan Gannon last cycle. And you want to talk about fan backlash, fan voice, whatever, having an impact on decision-making. I'm very confident. Underline it again. I am very confident. The fans being as loud as they were about Jonathan Gannon being a bad hire played a role in Gannon not getting that. Now he's built up his resume a little more. The Eagles defense has been awesome this season. He apparently was, I think Albright said it, he was the best interview of the group, or the favorite interview that Peyton had, whatever phrasing it was. I don't think it's ideal, but I think it's going to be one of those three.
I hope the Broncos look at people with good resumes this time around. So,
hey, fucking men.
Holy shit, Joey. Frankie wants to know, do you think there's any chance for another first timer at this point?
Definitely with Gannon, because they interviewed him last time and they really, really liked him. I think it's the least likely of the three. For that reason, that's going to be a big knock on him. But I think it's possible.
So Frankie also said about Kellen Moore. What do you think about Kellen Moore? I thought what he's done, he was getting some criticism last year. He is a really young guy, obviously former quarterback, Boise State guy. Remember him coming out of the draft, but Kellen Moore, seeing what he did with Cooper Rush specifically when he was in there was like pretty impressive.
It's been really good. It's been really impressive. I think from Moore this season, you've seen growth in a lot of the areas people were concerned about. It was like, this is overcomplicated. Just simplify this some. You've got really good designs, but you don't have to be dialing it up to 11. Like, simple plays can work too. And you've seen that growth this year. I think it's a good one. And I don't know if you knew this, but because Brett Rippon was a late round pick / undrafted quarterback also out of Boise State, he's the same as Kellen Moore and is going to be a great offensive coach in the near future.
I have no doubts about that. Thanks for finishing up that little string with that nice knot. Ample Scramble Word Game Sports Talk and Trivia commented, I'm laughing only because that was like, I felt like a tongue twister. I say give the man at least another year to try and find his footing. I feel like we've been saying that for about 7 years now in different places, rhymes and reasons and quarterbacks and head coaches. And I don't think Broncos country is going to last much longer. And I don't think Hackett has what it takes to end out the year and start another one brand new and fresh. It tells you a lot, Clint Kubiak calling the shots, but there's a chance, there's potential. Zach?
I will say this. I think Hackett's ability to manage the locker room is what it was hyped up to be. Like, it is easy to take shots at the guy, and I think he's deserving for like all of them. It's been a disaster this year. But the locker room stuff is legit. I've been on the Broncos beat since 2018, and I've been in the locker room since 2019. I'm pretty sure was the first. Yeah, because it was before COVID. Since 2019. And every Broncos season has been bad over that span. So I've been in plenty of sad locker rooms. And this year it's still like not sad. It doesn't have that same energy. Immediately after the game, like, guys are a little annoyed and pissed off, but different from it's been in different years. Like 100%. There's way less cracks forming in like the dam of locker room culture. And I think that's a credit to Hackett. That was probably the biggest selling point around him outside of what he did with Green Bay's offense. I think he's a goofy guy, and like, everything you'd say about Hackett, I'd probably agree with. But I do think he's been excellent at managing the locker room, and that's not for nothing.
Love the point.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Joey.
I would just echo what Zach was saying. I'm good. I mean, I just
You're
don't
giving him a good old ditto.
Yeah, like exactly. Like Zach nailed it. I don't really think. I don't know. I'm just not the biggest Hackett guy at this point. I wouldn't give him another shot.
And that's why we're here to Let's Talk Broncos. It's a community. Thanks for chiming in and giving us engagement and questions and comments and all of those things. I want to jump on into the next question and the last one that we have right here. So if you have any for us, please let me know. Dylan Strybig over on Twitter @DoubleToughDill asks, outside of the coaching staff, what is the first realistic roster move you would make this offseason? It can be an addition or a subtraction. What are you guys doing first?
Go ahead, Zach.
Oh, yeah, I messed up typing that in. Or it was him when I copied and pasted. I don't know. The realistic roster move I would want them to make this offseason, sign a solid veteran center. That's what I want to see. Sign, just like, please, find a quality. I'll see if I can find free agent centers here really quick. But center's such an important position. I think it's the most underrated position on the offense. It's treated like fullback or something, and I think it has a really valuable impact. There's not a lot of great ones out there looking at it right now. The list is actually pretty disappointing. You might have to invest a quality draft pick or like reunite with Connor McGovern or something crazy like that. Mitch Morse towards the end of his career. But I'd be fine with that. Like, I don't think Mitch Morse is a great center anymore, but he's like functional. And just like get an adult at that center position to help with the offensive line calls. Because based on what we've seen this year, I don't have a lot of confidence in Russell Wilson getting his offensive line in the best position to succeed. I think a veteran center would go a long way towards that. I think everyone agrees offensive line is the biggest problem for the Broncos to fix this offseason. It's hard to find quality veteran tackles. Do it at center.
I like Elton Jenkins. That's my guy. Zach, can you highlight, is that realistic, Elton Jenkins?
I think it's possible. You got to imagine the Packers are going to bring him back. But hell, Devontae Adams walked. That Aaron Rodgers contract is going to hamstring him. It's going to be difficult. Do want to give a big shout out to part of Mile High Sports, though. They just commented, the final word, awesome show on Sundays. Great Broncos preview show. They are the best. Go check their workout for Mile High Sports on Sundays.
Covering all the sports. You can also find them over for college football. I almost said basketball, probably that there too. But thank you for the shout out. We appreciate your support and we love working with you guys. So thank you so much. I'm getting yelled at in the chat right now. So I need to grab a couple of special comments that we got in here while we were asking for them from our Discord. The first one is going to be, and let me pull it up here. It's going to be from Cal. So my question is, what would a Hackett coached lock-led team look like with this current Denver Broncos roster?
What was that? I'm sorry. Can you
what would a Hackett coached lock led, so Lock at quarterback, Hackett at coach, what would that version of this team look like?
Listen, I don't care who Drew Lock's coach is. It would be a disaster.
You think it'd be worse than this?
I don't.
I think it would be more turnovers.
The turnovers 100%. Yeah, and putting
more
the
touchdowns,
in the worst possession.
More than 18 points.
I mean, what happened to all these people with Drew Lock talking about, oh, we need a consistent OT. That's why he's not looking good. We could go get yourself a new one, and then all of a sudden now it looks better. Like, I don't know.
That's a great point. Yeah, first year in the offense, as we know, is Drew Lock's kryptonite.
Yeah.
I don't know. It wouldn't surprise me if it, like, I think Russell Wilson from like week 3 to about week 10 was a bottom 5 quarterback. So I don't know. Lock, I think, would be more or less the same. Could even be a little better. I don't think the offense showed that much of a drop off with Brett Rippon. It's hard for me to imagine it would show that much of a drop off with Drew Lock. I think there's the potential it would be better. The turnovers point is a great one. All these games have been close and on slim margins. And if you die, like the one that wasn't a 1-possession game, you have a turnover that results in a touchdown for the Raiders. That's the only game that hasn't been decided by a single possession this year. And nothing that Drew Lock loved more than handing games away.
Yeah, no, exactly. Like that. Could you imagine if Russell Wilson was throwing a hell of a lot of picks along with the Melvin Gordon fumbles?
And the Lock, and on the points of Wilson's offense not being productive, Wilson's offense hasn't been productive, but Russell Wilson's offenses were never productive. So
Russell Wilson got really lucky with some of those passes not being interceptions, Joey, just because they were dropped.
Listen, I don't go into the woulda, coulda, like.
Is it luck or is it not throwing the ball 50 yards downfield to KJ Hamler in triple coverage?
That's happened multiple times too. How many times?
The Colts game was the closest to Drew Lock Russell Wilson has looked.
Do you guys remember that Drew Lock read option?
I
remember that.
When he handed it off to the defensive lineman, that was pretty cool.
That was crazy.
Oh, I don't like this argument, and I hate you, Cal, for bringing it up. My other question that I got in the Discord from a much more favorable person, although as I watch his comments go, I'm kidding. No, not you. Sorry, we had a comment, and it's something I actually can't believe, so I'm looking this up to see if this is true. Oh.
About Chad Kelly.
Oh,
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I guess technically he did, but are we really going to pat this man on the back for this? It would be my take. He had a key game for them late
What
in
are
the
you talking
season.
about? Oh, I
He
see
was
what's
pretty
happening.
terrible. He had 7. Okay, so Chad Kelly, we had a comment, I should say, for our audio listeners. Chad Kelly just won the Grey Cup in Canada, which is hilarious to me. I didn't think he was playing football anymore. And he did as a backup quarterback. Stats on the season for those curious. 26 completions on 45 attempts for 297 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 3 interceptions. So not stellar.
Deep breaths. This one's from Frankie Abbott over in the Discord. If you'd like to join the Discord, let us know. Visit us on Twitter. We'll send you a link. And then you can come join and ask us questions and talk to us about football and Broncos and everything. General gabbing seems to be a really popular one. If you could transform into any one animal on command, what animal would you all pick?
if I could turn into an animal on command?
Yeah, any
Oh my
animal.
God, give me a second. I haven't even thought about this. Zach, did you have something written out for this?
It should be an easy
No,
one.
I didn't prepare. I think I'd go like just
This is
off.
not a hard question.
I'm going with a falcon, specifically a peregrine falcon. Couple reasons. Number one, first reason, I want to go with a bird because I think it'd be cool to just be able to like fly out of a situation when you want to. Just like so Wayne King, Russ picked Wolverine. That's a damn good comment. Yeah, I would fly out of there like a falcon. That would be great. And peregrine falcons, fastest animals in the world. They have been charted going as fast as 200 miles per hour when they dive. Also, you're a bird of prey, so other things aren't going to be trying to bother you and eat you while you're flying around. And you get to fly. Like, I think that's the option. Falcon.
Frankie says he feels like an ox. Sorry, go ahead, Joey.
I think I would be like a bear, truthfully. I think I would not mind the hibernation period. That'd be cool. Like I just get to sleep for a while. That'd be pretty sick. And then I really don't got to worry about anything with like messing around with me. You know, I'm just out there living my life. I don't like what do I have to worry about really? You know, I would go with the bear.
I like that answer. Cal says a crow is better than a falcon. I really like
Smart
crows.
bird.
I like
That's
this
a good choice.
They could figure stuff out. They know how to get treats and whatnot. Frankie says maybe a dire wolf. I want to answer this.
I'll be a griffin then.
James, you don't have to be for Discord. You don't have to join Twitter. Totally understand that. We'll if you want
It's
to
in our
join
bio
Discord,
right now on Facebook.
Yeah.
The Let's Talk Broncos one. It's in the bio on the Let's Talk Broncos Facebook. Go join it.
He's in YouTube. Maybe I can comment on YouTube the link to the Discord. I'll get right on that, James. As we wrap
he's on the YouTube. Okay.
We are problem solvers here. And I'm going to go with my animal, which would be a hyena. It is absolutely my favorite in existence. The animal itself is wildly misunderstood. Unfortunately, because of the Lion King, people think that they're just filthy scavengers who aren't good for anything. While in fact, the females are the leaders of the pack. They're incredibly strong. They're built bigger than the men. They are able to care for their young and really just carry out really tremendous things. And they're super curious. So if you're driving around on a safari, chances are that a hyena is going to come up and try to bite your tires or your boots. They're very gentle creatures. And when they call out to the rest of the pack, they put their snouts down towards the ground, much like a lion would, but it carries that yelping noise that they make, which is one of the most haunting and beautiful sounds in Mother Nature. And now you know I'm an incredible animal nerd. You can find me most weekends at the Denver Zoo.
She is.
Going to the zoo with Bree is like a top experience. I went and she like every animal she was giving me like animal facts, like the hyenas and everything. It was great.
She's like a big Animal Planet like buff.
Yeah, I am. I'm friendly with the hyenas. And the greatest thing about them is people think they look all tough and gross and disgusting, and they're honestly amazing. And I think that's what we can learn about this very cruel and crazy world. And before I get too weird, Cal, you got it, my dude. Come on out to Denver. I gotcha. Yeah. So on that note, does anyone have any other comments about anything we discussed today? If not, please tell everyone actually, we're not done yet. What am I trying to do? I'm trying to leave the
What the
entire
hell?
show.
What
I
the
got
hell?
distracted.
Damn.
Who doesn't want to see us thrive?
I didn't. I wanted to cut us short. We're not even at an hour yet. I say let's do more, but right after this break, because I have a message for everyone watching here at home that if you haven't heard about signables, we're going to tell you a little bit about them. It's a really cool new way to display your fandom in your office, home, or your fan cave. Signables are flat footballs with digitally printed signatures of your favorite players, including Aaron Rodgers that Zach has on his wall right back there. They've also got a ton of soccer or football for everyone who doesn't want to come for me. They are a great gift for your favorite football fans this holiday season. Collect your favorite player or your favorite team, and you can go check them out at signables.com. I hope you're pointing at yours. Nobody can see you. Well, you do so.
Me personally, I'm just going to leave it short and sweet, right? If you do not get assignables, I mean, like everybody's getting assignables. If you don't get one, like, what are you doing out here? You're probably not doing anything good. Like, that's just my opinion. If you don't have assignables, like, what are you doing out here? Like, you're probably not a very productive person to society. Like, you're probably like that. That's just my opinion at this point. Like, we've had signables on the show for how long? Like, go get your signables. I don't know how many times I have to say it. I mean, I could go through the stocking stuffer thing over again, but I won't. I've made that point. Go get your friends assignables. Go get yourself assignables. Don't get the Russell Wilson one. Get the Joe Burrow, probably. That's my personal favorite. Yeah, that's what I got to say.
Frankie says get his own signable. Get the Frankie's film signable.
Get the Frankie's film signable. Get all the signables. Hey, it's the World Cup happening right now. They've got non-NFL signables. They've got them for all the soccer stars, football stars, whatever you want to call it. Going crazy right now, so make sure you get those. That's actually how they started, was with soccer, so they'll have more options there. Yeah, perfectly stuffs the stocking. Mitch Hedberg, I think, has the famous joke, the perfect stocking stuffer is a severed foot, and I think there's something to be said about that, but I think signables is even better. It fills that stocking right. Fill your stocking with Josh Allen.
Listen,
I really like the idea of the severed foot, though.
Anybody has assignables nowadays. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, I won't say anything because I don't know if you can say things like this, but I'll just posit a question. If you don't get assignables, will your friends still like you?
Name a productive person without assignables. I can't. I think it's like The Secret. Like, if you get assignables, you'll be well off.
Sports.
Every billionaire has at least 5 signables.
It's a fact. Look it up. Google
everything. Is that the question of the day?
Yeah, name it. No, name somebody with a lot of money. No, I'm just kidding.
It's time for Joey's question of the day.
Joey's question of the day. We will be doing another Broncos Guess Who. For those who are not familiar, I will be going down a line of questions. They will have to, I'm going to get closer and closer to a clear answer. First one to get guess the player first wins. First, this player is listed at 6'4". He was born in Louisville, Kentucky.
Oh, that's not what I'm thinking.
He played for Indiana State.
Oh, Jonas Griffith.
Ding, 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 ding.
School is Larry Bird.
Larry Bird, yes. All right, there you go. That's all I had.
I wouldn't have guessed Jonas Griffith, but it's fine. It's so much fun. Cal says he still has questions of the day. Appreciate you, Cal.
Hey, send them. I'll use them. Send them to me personally. I'll use your questions of the day. I'll say it's brought to you from whoever says it, everything. Like, yeah. If you have a question of the day, do it, because I never remember to do them.
Join the Discord.
Halfway through the podcast. Like, literally right then, I was looking up the Jonas Griffith Wikipedia page because I forgot again that I have a question of the day.
Go to Joey needs some help with the question of the day. Join the Discord. Go to really in any channel and say, hey, I've got a Joey's question of the day, and we will use it.
But don't give him the answer in public, otherwise I will cheat. Where can everyone find your stuff?
Everybody, go follow me at JR Drafts on Twitter. That is my where I communicate with the people the most is through Twitter. And then everyone, go make sure you're following the Let's Talk Broncos Facebook, the Let's Talk Broncos YouTube, the Let's Talk Broncos Instagram. Make sure you're in the Let's Talk Broncos Discord. Like, we're everywhere now. We're going to get more and more active on Facebook and Instagram. Like, we're going to have, like, I think more of, like, daily type content on there. So that'll be really exciting. If you're not a big Twitter person, like, who was it earlier who said they didn't want to do Twitter?
James
said that. We're going to be more on Facebook, more on Instagram. If you want to follow us there, that's coming soon. So make sure you're doing that. And then Frankie and I are breaking down offensive tackles right after you guys are done eating Thanksgiving dinner. Frankie and I will be bringing you draft content for the Broncos. What tackles make sense for the Broncos? That's what we'll be talking about. So make sure you're doing that. Anyways, Zach, where can they find your work?
Zach_Seegers on Twitter. I've got so many good stats and hot takes out over there. Check it out. And then articles over at milehighsports.com. Wrote a great one today where I had like the fans' thoughts on what the Broncos should do with Coach Hackett. Should they fire him this week? Should they keep him around for another week? We've got 2 listeners of the show, actually, that were included in that article, Indy and Frankie. So go make sure you're listening, engaging on everything, and you'll get in an article too.
Yes, sir.
Love it. Cookies, cupcakes, or brownies? Real quick.
Cookies. Personally, cookies. I'll go with the classic chocolate chip if I had to do something there. You can add a little spice to it. Some people like throwing like some salt on there or something. I'm not a big fan. Just give me the classic chocolate chip cookie. That's something I'll go with.
Cookie, brownie, cupcake.
In that order?
All of them. Oh,
Yeah.
You said in the order. Okay. All right. I got you.
Brownies with walnuts, says Wayne. Thank you. I don't like nuts in my desserts, so I
kind of like that a little bit.
No, I'm with Bree.
Wayne.
No, it ruins it. It's a texture thing for me.
You guys are weird. Shout out to Wayne.
Go find me on Twitter, BreeMaces303. You can follow me on all of our socials. You can listen to me on the Let's Talk on the Fan Cave on Mondays with Zach Seegers as we break down and react to each game, 1 to 2 p.m. on Mile High Sports Radio. Or you can listen to us on demand, milehighsports.com. You can catch me every day here, Monday through Saturday, with the Let's Talk Broncos crew. We enjoy talking along with you. Have a good night. Happy Thanksgiving. And we will talk to you soon. And we have another episode coming your way tomorrow. So have a good one.
I got a fever.